So in this lesson we're going to look at problems leading to quadratic equations. So this is a typical example of a problem that leads to a quadratic equation. So if we read the question, the length of a rectangle exceeds its breadth by 6 centimeters. If the rectangle is 160 centimeters squared, find its length and breadth. Okay, so with this question, the first thing you want to do is you want to develop a quadratic equation. So the first thing you want to do is let the breadth be equal to x. Okay, so we'll just say, so breadth is equal to x. Is equal to x. Okay, so and it's x centimeters. So what we can say is if we take this rectangle, this breadth here from here to here is equal to x centimeters. Okay, so that's the first part. And what it says then is that we can write everything else then in terms of x. So the length of the rectangle exceeds its breadth by 6 centimeters. So the length from here to here exceeds the breadth by 6 centimeters. Okay, so what we can say then is that the length, should I say, length is equal to x plus 6 centimeters. Okay, so centimeters, because the length exceeds the breadth by 6 centimeters. So this would be x plus 6. And what it tells us then in the question then is that the area of the rectangle is equal to 160 centimeters squared. So the area inside here is equal to 160 centimeters squared. And if we want to get the area of a rectangle, remember it's going to be breadth multiplied by length. So what we can do is we can take the breadth multiplied by the length and make it equal to 160 centimeters. So we can write this out like so. So let's do something like this. So it'll be, what we can say is that x multiplied by x plus 6 is equal to 160 centimeters squared. Okay, so this is like, let's say we're starting to kind of get a quadratic equation from this. And what we're trying to find out is well, what is the breadth and what is the length? So we can multiply this out then. So if we take, so x multiplied by x, so x by x is x squared, and then x multiplied by 6 is plus 6x, and is equal to 160. Now what we can do is we can bring this over here. So we can, so what we want to do is we want to bring this over onto this side. So we have to minus 160 from here. So that would be minus 160 equals 0. Okay, so if we have a look at this now, what we have is we've taken this word problem and we've converted it into a quadratic equation. And what we can start to do then is we can start to work out and solve and figure out what's x squared, what is x equal to. Then what we can do then is we can use the quadratic, we can factorize this, and then we can work out, for example, what x is, or we can use the quadratic formula that we learned about in the last lesson. So this here is the quadratic formula that we learned about in the last lesson, and this here is our quadratic expression. So what we need to do now is we need to identify what a is, what b is, and what c is. So we can see here that we've written the quadratic equation in this form: a to the power ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So that's the way we've written it there. Okay, so we've taken it from this and we've written it in this form here. Now what we can do is we can use this quadratic formula. So in order to use the quadratic formula, what we have to do is we have to identify what each of the parts are. So we want to find out, so we want to say, like, what is a? So a is equal to, b is equal to, and c is equal to. So if we have a look at this, we can see that a is equal to 1. So a is equal to 1. Why is it 1? Because this is 1x squared. So the coefficient of this term is 1. We want to work out what b is. So b is 6. And then we want to work out what c is. And c is 100 and minus 160. So minus 160. So what we're doing is we're taking these. So this is the quadratic. It's in this form. And then we're able to identify what A is, what B is, what C is. So this is A, 1 is here, this is B, and then this is C, so we can identify them. And then what we can do then is we can take these values and we can substitute them into this expression, or into this formula, should I say. So we can take these values and we can substitute them into the formula. And I'm just going to write this over here, just make this a bit bigger. Okay, so X then, so X is going to be equal to minus b, so b is equal to 6, so we've taken it from here, so it's equal to minus 6 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so b is equal to 6, so it's going to be 6 squared, minus 4 times a times c, so minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is minus 160. Okay, so it looks something like that. Okay, so that's our formula. And then we want to write the bottom part of this. So we can say, so 2a. So 2 multiplied by a, which is 1. So then what we want to do is we want to solve this then. So again, what I'd always do is I'd work out this part in here first. So we have minus 4 multiplied by minus 4 by 1 is minus 4, and then minus 4 by minus 160, so that's going to be equal to, so let's clear this. So it's going to be, so it's going to be a positive, so it's going to be 4 multiplied by 160, so that's equal to 640, and then 6 squared plus 6 multiplied by 6, which is equal to, so that's going to be 676. Okay, so 676. So if we write this down, so x is going to be equal to minus 6 plus or minus the square root of 676. Okay, so 676 over 2. And then we can simplify this. So we want to get the square root of 676. So the square root of 676, so it's 676, and if we get the square root of that, okay, that's equal to 26. So we'll just write this in here. So what we can say then is that it's going to be minus 6 plus or minus 26 divided by 2. Now, x is going to have two values. So we're going to end up with two values. We're going to end up with when this is positive and this is negative, okay? So we want to write our two values like this. So if we take the first value, it's going to be minus 6 plus 26 divided by 2, and that's equal to, so that's minus 6 plus 26, that's just going to give us 20 divided by 2, which is going to be equal to 10, and that's going to be 10 centimeters, okay, because our question is in centimeters. And then this one here is going to be the negative value, so it's going to be minus 6 minus 26 divided by 2. And that's going to be equal to, so minus 6 minus 26, that will give us minus 32 divided by 2. And then if we take 32 and we divide it by 2, so 32 divided by 2, and it's minus 32, that's going to give us minus 16. Okay, so it's equal to minus 16. Minus 16 centimeters. Now, so this gives us two values for x. Now, what we can do is we can ignore this negative value here. So it's not going to be, the value is not going to be negative 16 centimeters. Okay, so we can ignore that. So the value for x then is going to be this one here, which is the positive value, which is 10 centimeters. So what we can say then is that the breadth, okay, or we can just write it as b, is equal to, which is this value here, is going to be equal to 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters. Okay, so that's the first part. So that's this part here, okay, or this x value. And then we can say then that the second part then is going to be x plus 6. So this part up here, and let me just bring this down here. So I'm just going to write this down here. So if the breadth is 10 centimeters, then as per the question, the length is going to be, so the length is going to be equal to x plus 6. Okay, x is equal to 10 centimeters. We worked that out from here. Okay, x is equal to 10 centimeters, so therefore the length is going to be equal to 10 plus 6, which is equal to 16 centimeters. So therefore then, to answer this question, given these diameters that it's given us here, we've worked out that the length is equal to 16 centimeters. Okay, so this is your answer here. And the breadth is equal to 10 centimeters. So again, how did we work this out? Well, we took the question and we developed a quadratic equation, and then we used the quadratic formula to solve for the roots, or to solve for x. So again, these are what are known as problems leading to quadratic equations. So what we done is we took this word problem and we converted it into a quadratic equation like here. So how did we do that? So we let the breadth be equal to x, and then we wrote everything else in terms of that. Okay, so the length then is going to be x plus 6. We know then that length by breadth, that's how you get the area. So length, or we can say breadth multiplied by length, is equal to area. Okay, and that's where we worked out the breadth is x centimeters, the length is x plus 6 centimeters. So therefore, if we multiply these by each other, it has to be equal to 160 centimeters, because that's what the question tells us here. And then taking that, then we developed our quadratic equation out of it. Now remember, when we write a quadratic equation, and if we want to use this quadratic formula, we have to write it in this particular form here. And that's what we've done here. And then we use the quadratic formula then to solve for x. So that is problems leading to quadratic equations.